You're welcome to Scholarship Act 2.0, the Polish Government Scholarship. And with me is Ibrahim Moshood. Ibrahim, how are you doing over there?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here with you today. I'm doing very, very well. How about you?
I'm doing fine too. Thanks for asking. So let us get started already. So you got the scholarship in 2022, right? And then you got into University of Krakow in 2022, and now you're in Mendel University till July 2023. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're very correct. So I applied for the scholarship last year, 2022, and I'm fortunate to be one of the beneficiaries of the scholarship. I got it. And I started my program, which is winter semester 2022-2023, last year, October. And I started my first semester in the University of Krakow in Poland. And I'm currently in my second semester in Mendel University in Brno, my second semester.
That is great. So if you are watching this video right now, stay with us. We're going to move through the application process, the pre-application process, where we'll cover the eligibility, the documents that you're going to have to prepare for your applications, then the application, the call for proposal, and yeah, a very small, tiny moment to discuss about the post-application process. So we've got you. Stay tuned, okay? So Ibrahim, let's get to it already. The eligibility. They're like, okay, this scholarship is for people from third world countries. Then it went to like restrict the countries that I like the third world kind of countries. Fortunately for us, we have some very few African countries there, Nigeria and some other countries. So I guess my question is, then also went to say for the field of engineering, natural science, and all that. Can you please explain that again? Because I was just thinking, oh, probably it's for like everyone, any field at all, law, business. Apparently, I may not be so correct. So help us there.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. It's one of the many questions I've been getting in recent days. People ask me, what area or what field does the scholarship, covers? I think it's simple, it's straightforward. All the information are on their website. So the scholarship funds or supports fields, including the engineering and technical field. It supports agricultural science related field, and also it supports life sciences related field. So yeah, there is an exemption, and the exemption is not applicable to some countries. I think the exemption is only applicable to a few European countries, and that they allow them to, apply for the scholarship even whilst they are, a member of, or their field is the arts and humanities. But then largely for the majority of the countries that they've considered eligible for the scholarship, the program, the scholarship or the aid supports only those that have had their bachelors in these fields that we've mentioned before now, which is engineering and technical field, agricultural sciences and life sciences.
Okay. That is well said. Thank you very much. Okay. Again, so the eligibility, let's talk about the circle. I don't know, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So we kept hearing stuff like first circle, second circle, and all that. Can you explain for someone that is like very new to the site? Can you explain what that means? First circle, second circle.
Okay, it is quite easy and straightforward. By first cycle, second cycle, what they mean basically is what we refer to as, bachelors and masters in Nigeria. So yeah, what they mean by first cycle is your bachelor's degree or your bachelor's program. And second cycle, what they mean by second cycle is your master's program. It's simple and straightforward.
Okay, thank you. That is very easy because I was thinking, oh, probably the master's degree actually have like two, one, the first, second, and second cycle. Thanks for explaining that. Okay. So they also went forward to say stuff like, okay, diploma, certificate, that for the first, second, and even HND. So like you're saying, it covers, it not just for the BSc, like the university graduates, but people with HNG can still apply, right?
Yes, those that are eligible to apply are those that do not have any track record of having completed a master's degree. So you can be in your final year and apply. It can be, you might have completed a bachelor's and still apply. And you might even be, enrolled in a master's program and apply, so long as you've not completed a master's program.
Okay. So when they went forward to say still on eligibility about like the language barrier, they said, okay, if you're studying a course that is the on the Polish pathway, you have to have some like proof of proficiency of the Polish language. You're studying something that is English related, you have to have. So what I want to know is that I'm aware that some countries in Europe actually accept, like for Nigeria, for the case of Nigeria and other West African countries, totally accept our WAEC results as like a proof of English. But for some other countries, just once you can prove that your bachelor's degree was done in an English course, like was done in an English speaking country, or the means of assessment was done in English language. So I want to know what's the broad overview of what they define to be like a proficiency for the English language.
Okay, thanks for that question. So I would also give you a very easy and straightforward answer to this. So what they mean by, I think one of the eligibility criteria I would like to state as they've written it is that, English language minimum at the B2 level if applicant is planning to start studies in English language. So the scholarship is in two ways. It's either you're enrolling in a program, on a Polish course, or like on a Polish thought-based or English thought-based. So, and for those that don't understand Polish, you don't want to go for a Polish thoughts program. So yeah, and for you to be able to apply, for an English thoughts-based, then they want to ensure that you meet some, certain criteria, which is English proficiency. For us in Nigeria and some other African countries that are eligible for this scholarship, we've been largely taught in English. So the reason why I would say this scholarship is one of the easiest to apply for is because you don't necessarily need to write your GRE or your TOEFL to be able to apply for this scholarship. So with your proof of English proficiency, if you're able to get the letter signed and stamped by a university, you can use that as your proof of English proficiency, and that just solves the problem, or that ticks the box of English language proficiency requirements. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we can hear him for the first part, your normal proof of English from your university, that's done with. And then HND, BSc, whatever it is. Going through the website, to be honest, I was confused, but listening to you right now, I think I'm kind of becoming clearer and clearer. So thank you, Brian, for that. So let's quickly move to the required documents. It's usually advised that you just get your documents ready before you begin application. So I guess I want to ask a question. For the very first document, talk about your first circle certificate, which based on them carries like 16 marks, like 16. That's a huge mark. So what are they looking at on a certificate? Is it like your CGPA? By the way, what's CGPA requirements? Is it for the first class only? For the two?
Okay. Let me react to that. Let me react to that quickly. So yeah, you're already combining too many things at the same time. So still on eligibility requirements, I think one of the things they request for is, to show that you've completed your bachelor's program at the minimum. So yeah, that's important. And for those that, I think I need to say this at this point, it's also stated there, for those that are in their final years, like they are doing their final year in bachelor's and are yet to get their final certificates, they can get their, their transcripts like up to date, up to the semester where they have, been able to completely complete. So they can get that and get it stamped by the university. What is very important is that the university stamp is on it. So, but then for those that already have their bachelor's degree certificate, then it's a straightforward route. They don't need any other thing. So besides this, so I think for what you talked about, the method of assessment, the criteria with which they use to assess the applications. So yeah, they use basically two criteria, or there are two forms or levels of assessments. The first one is the formal assessment, and the second one is the substantive assessment. So for the formal assessment, what this assessment is all about is to test the merits of the application based on the criteria they've laid down. If they ask you to provide some documents and you fail to provide one, then that means you would fail the formal assessment. So if they ask you to give, so you want to make sure that every criteria they've stated in the call for proposal or call for application, you meet everything and you make sure that you submitted everything as is according to how they've prescribed. So once you're able to successfully achieve this, then you would have successfully passed the formal assessment. Now to the substantive assessment, which is the most important. There are two parts. So to confirm, I checked the website. The final assessment, the final outcome of the substantive assessment will be out by the end of July, at the end of July 2023. So by that time, you would know whether you won the scholarship or not. So, but before then, a lot of reviews will be going on, application reviews. So there are two possible outcomes. The first is positive outcome and the second is negative outcome. So if at the end of the day you receive a positive outcome, that means you've won a scholarship. And if at the end of the day you get a negative a negative outcome, that's not the end of the day. They're trying to tell you that there are opportunities ahead and you can still try again. And so yeah, that's what it's all about. So, and to be able to get a positive substantive assessment, a lot is considered. So you mentioned two things earlier that I would like to clarify. So one is, okay, so basically there are two methods of assessment. The first is recommendation letter, which accounts for 40% of the assessments. And the other one is your cumulative GPA, which accounts for 60% of the assessments. So these two things looks like, it's easy to achieve, but trust me, it's a very competitive scholarship, and you should realize that you're not the only one applying for this scholarship. So you want to, put your best foot forward. So your recommendation letter, you want to make sure that you put in your best efforts to get the best of recommendation letters to submit. And interestingly, they didn't give a limit to how many recommendation letters you can submit. So if I'm to recommend, I would recommend if you're able to submit 4, you can submit 4. If you're able to submit maybe 3 is not bad. If you're able to submit 5, it's okay. But I would like to recommend 4 if you're able to. But it's not compulsory that you submit 4 recommendation letters. So they didn't specify exactly how many recommendation letters you should submit. So the next is the your cumulative GPA, and trust me, this is where you stand out. When you have a very strong cumulative GPA, then you stand a big chance of getting a scholarship. So, and trust me, these are just the 2 basic criteria they use in assessing you. And so they would assess the recommendation letter over 40% and your your cumulative GPA. They would assess each of the courses you've taken so far, and they will look at it vis-a-vis the program you're enrolling for. And this is on the criteria. This is on the basis with which they would give you your final score, and there we go. So you can then cross your fingers and expect the final decision by the end of July 2023. I hope I answered the question.
Definitely you do, but the part about the cumulative CGPA, is that another way of you saying just have a first class? At least
okay.
For it to stand a chance.
You don't necessarily need to have a first class to win the scholarship. Like I said, they are going to be assessing your transcripts from the beginning to the end. They are not looking at your final GPA. They are not looking at your final GPA. So they are going to critically assess your. Trust me, first class students win the scholarship. Second class wins the scholarship. I don't know. I think third class is rare, but first class and second class wins the scholarship. A lot is factored into this application. Like I rightly mentioned, your CGPA only accounts for 60%, and then recommendation letter accounts for 40%. So it depends on how you play the game.
Thank you very much. That is succinct and clarification. Now let's talk about the recommendation letter. I mean, you've already mentioned it. So I think on the website they mentioned something like, okay, letter from the applicant place of study, that is the foreign HEI. I have no idea what HEI means, or the planned place of study from the Polish HEI. Do you have an idea what it means?
Sorry,
and why do you?
I didn't get that part. Can you repeat, please?
It says something about, okay, like the recommendation letter should come from the applicant's place of study, brackets, foreign HEI, or the planned place of study brackets Polish HEI?
Okay, let me answer that. To the best of my knowledge, the recommendation letter you're submitting is from your home country, except you have someone from the country Poland that is willing to write you. But when I was applying, I used my referees were from Nigeria. All my referees were from Nigeria. But what is very important is for each of the recommendation letters that you're using, let it have a stamped, let it be on a letterhead. It's very important, whether it's from an organization that you're working with, or whether it's from an institution that you're working with, or whether it's from your supervisor, or whether it's from your former lecturers. So whichever recommendation letter you are submitting, let it have a letterhead. Let it be on a letterhead and stamped and signed. Okay, maybe not necessarily stamped or signed, but what is very important is that it's on a letterhead. And all of these terminologies, foreign HEI or Polish HEI, it's not a big deal. What is really important is that your recommendation letter is coming from someone and someone that can, recommend you, in a big way. And yeah, I think that's the trick. You don't need all of these technicalities. So like I rightly mentioned earlier, there is no limit to how many recommendation letters you can submit, but I give a recommendation of 4 recommendation letters, but then let it be from people that that yes, they can recommend you very well.
Okay. 2 things. The first one, let me just quickly add. So there's this case of a student that sometimes lecturers will ask you, "Oh, go and write your letter yourself," and then we'll submit it for you. So yeah, I think he mistakenly wrote the same letter and submitted it to 2 lecturers. So they literally submit the same thing for him. It appears like 2, but it's actually 1. So that's just like an aside. But let's come back to your recommended 4 recommendation letter. Are there any specific how you should share it? Let's say you want to get 2 from your employer, 2 from your faculty that you graduated from, or is there any just simple tip you want to give to us on how to go about it?
Okay, thank you very much. I think a lot of us, we don't tend to attribute the significance that a recommendation letter really deserve. We don't really attribute it to it, and it's always late before we realize. So for me, I try as much as possible to keep positive and good relationship with my lecturers, and yeah, with everyone that that I've come in contact with, that I've benefited from their wealth of wisdom. So it's very important that you keep a very good relationship with your lecturers, because when you need them in these kind of instances, they find it very easy to assist you by recommending you, because they know you very well, and they can recommend you, they can recommend what you do, and they can tell the world that yes, you're really deserving of this opportunity. So yeah, a lot of people fail to establish this relationship, and when it's time for them to make this request, it's really hard. So yeah, in terms of how to split the whole recommendation letter of a thing, I think very importantly, your supervisor, your undergraduate supervisor, is very important to get a recommendation letter from him or her. And also, some other lecturers in your university that you're close with, or you have good academic or working relationship with, you can also recommend you. So if you happen to have had experiences working as an intern or with an organization at any point in time, you can also request a recommendation letter from from your manager or from your boss. So if you also happen to volunteer for an international organization, or you've worked on a project or in a team, or so there are different opportunities there are different people you could get a recommendation letter from. You could also get a recommendation letter from your peers that are currently maybe in graduate school, and they are doing very well and they can recommend you very well. So these are the different opportunities or different possible means with which you can get recommendation letter. So yeah, in addressing the instance or the scenario you painted earlier of having reached out to 2 different lecturers or potential referees, and at the end of the day, you submitted the same thing on your behalf. I think this is going to deal you a huge blow, because these guys are going to review your application, and if they realize that you submitted 2 reference letters that is basically the same content, then it says a lot about you not paying attention to details and a lot of other things. And don't forget the fact that this application, you're not the only one making it. Thousands of people are making it. So you want to stand out. You want to make sure you tick all of the boxes.
So if I could go on with the question, please. So let's talk about, so far we've been talking about the pre-application, talk about the recommendation, the proficiency, English proficiency certificate, the BSc or HND or diploma, whatever certificate that you have for your first, second. Just one last thing about recommendation, because I actually heard you where you were saying something about having a good recommendation letter and all that. What is your advice to a person about what the recommendation letter should look like? What should be the content of the recommendation letter? To what extent can the person recommending you show that they know you? Or towards like what should they like focus on? Is it like their interpersonal relationship with you, or probably what you've done with them? Or just give us some heads up.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, a good recommendation letter is one that is able to sell you, that is able to market you out there. It's like this person is vying for your abilities, is vying for your potential. So when a typical recommendation letter, a very good recommendation letter would not be a pager, or it could be a page, but at least 5 paragraphs. And trust me, I think one way you can go about this is having to split the options across board. So you might want to reach out to your supervisors, for instance, to write your recommendation letter based on the working relationships you've had with in regards to your project, undergraduate projects or thesis. And this person is able to, but trust me, the bulk of the work is on you. So this is how you go about writing recommendation letters. You write a draft, you write a draft recommendation letter, you present such to your potential referee, and then they review it. Having reviewed it, they make amends, they make corrections, and they ask you to to work on the corrections. Then you review it as well. You make the edits and then send it back to them. Once both of the parties, I mean you and your potential referee, are both okay with the final draft, then you can then make the final draft, which is like the final reference letter to be submitted. So yeah, in terms of content, so of course it talks about your personal attributes, your strengths, your achievements, your capacity, your zeal, your discipline about with work, and every other thing that you've done. Maybe for instance, during classes or during practical sessions, you take the lead to to ensure that the practical goes smoothly. You're very inquisitive, you pay attention to details. So all of those little things count. And trust me, if you've got any achievement, maybe you're able to successfully complete your project thesis, how you went about it, or maybe you were a partner on a project. So all of these little achievements, try and find a way of sneaking it into the recommendation letter. So your recommendation letter is like an avenue for you to sell yourself, besides your CGPA, which is selling itself which is selling you by itself in terms of your academic strength, in terms of your intellectual strength. Then your recommendation letter should do the work of the emotional strength, the other balance should do more of the speaking about the other strength besides your academic strength. So this is where they want to see your soft skills, your ability to be able to get things done, why they feel like you're prepared for the grad school, and so on. Yeah, that should be the highlight. That should be the major content in your recommendation letter.
Thank you very much. That's a lot. Definitely, you need to have like a good personal relationship with the person that wants to recommend you before he or she can go on to give such. Yes, thank you. So, we're almost done with the pre-application stage. So I don't know, do you have any other like prospective Polish government scholarship recipients? Do you have any before we move to the application stage?
Okay, if I have any other, important tips for the pre, okay.
Yes.
I think the most important tip I would say, I would advise anyone that is, looking forward to applying for this scholarship is, number one, make sure you already have your international passports. Very important. Number two, make sure you have all of your necessary documents to apply. Of course, all of the requirements are on the website. Take your time to go through the website, write out these requirements, make sure you have all of these requirements. It's very, very important before you even start your application, because trust me, you don't want to start an application and then you're going there half-baked, half-prepared. So, so you want to make sure you have your international passport, like I said earlier. You want to make sure you have want to make sure you have all of your documents ready. You want to make sure that you begin to reach out to, if you've not already started reaching out to your potential supervisors, because trust me, this is like the most important part of the application process. Every other thing is easy to get, but trust me, you have to bank on your potential referees to, help you with this application. So it's very important that you begin to reach out to them, explain to them, show your readiness, tell them why you want to apply for this scholarship and why you feel they are the best to recommend you. When you give them a valid reason, a genuine reason why you think they should recommend you, then trust me, they'll be more than happy and willing to help you. So besides this, also I would say prospective applicants should keep eyes on the website. Take time to read the content of the website. I think for me, the website is self-explanatory, and all of the information you need for this application, for this scholarship application, has been well stated on the website. You just have to probably dedicate some time to take your time to go through the website, and trust me, it gets comprehensive information as to everything you need to apply for this scholarship. So I think that would be my recommendation or my tips for the pre-scholarship stage.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Thank you. Honestly, this is the moment where we encourage everyone watching this video right now. Go out there and submit your applications. Don't be afraid. The website is very detailed. Before now, I was very confused, but listening to Ibrahim speak, I kind of align with him when he says this can be like one of the most easiest scholarships to apply for. Have you ever applied for a scholarship that did not ask you for a statement of purpose or scholarship essay?
Absolutely.
Just recommendation letter?
Like you mentioned earlier, the scholarship, although very competitive, but its method of assessment has been well stated on the website, and they are assessing based on just 2 criteria, and that's based on your recommendation letter and based on your academic transcripts.
Yeah, thank you. So it's competitive, but it's less stressful. So go out there and submit your application, and we are with your success story. So frankly speaking, a link to the national, like to the WhatsApp group chat for those that are applying for the same scholarship, you will find it right there at the description box of this video on YouTube. So just click the description box and then you'll find the link to the WhatsApp group chat. You also find the link to the website, just in case you're finding it hard to navigate to the website. You'll find the link there. And this is a very good moment to ask you to subscribe. Click the subscription button for more updates about this scholarship and every other scholarship. We will speak to people like Ibrahim, giving us heavy information that we can't readily get from the website. So we are marching down to the application stage. This is a very interesting stage, so you just have to tune in. Keep listening. Ibrahim, the application stage, the call for proposal. Now I was hoping that, oh, thank God, there's no statement of purpose, no scholarship essay, no motivational letter. Then I saw a call for proposal, and the first that came to my mind was, what is this? Usually, it's that kind of thing that they ask you for PhD applications, right? Not for like master's applications. So would you give us the honor of walking us through the proposal? What does it entail? What's the content of it? Of course. Thank you.
Okay, so the call for proposal, when you click on the link for the call for proposal, which I'm currently on, then you see all of the information like announcement of the call for proposals for participation in the program. And then you see scope of the call for proposals, you see the program description, you see the deadline and every other information. So I think basically the call for proposal is just informing the public, the general public, that this scholarship is out. You can begin to apply, and every information that you need to apply has been stated on this front page, like on this landing page. So, but after leaving the call for proposal, there is a link that says so basically for this particular scholarship program, all of the applications have to be done online. You have to create a profile using your email. So trust me, from the very first step to the very ending, everything is online. So all of this application is done online. So you'll see the link to apply. So when you click on the link, it directs you to another link where you would have to, create a profile. So once you successfully create a profile, you can then begin to access the other part of the application, which would require your personal details, the details of your undergraduate or your bachelor's program or your first cycle program, and every other details. So yeah, I think that's the basic. Yeah, that's the summary.
Wow. Again, I am yet to find a scholarship application that is this straightforward and this easy. No, I was thinking something about proposal like a thesis or like a research, stuff like that. I never knew it was this simple. Thank you again, Ibrahim.
You're welcome.
Honestly, without you, this scholarship was like an Herculean task. But looking at it from this perspective now, it's kind of easy. Let's talk about the timeline. Now, I once listened when I attended a session where one of the scholars was like, okay, she usually, like, we're talking about the deadline for application. Like, when is the best time for submitting application for scholarship? She, as in for her, she thought probably just 2 weeks or a week before the deadline, not on the day and not too early. So, from your perspective, when do you think is the best time to submit applications?
Okay, thank you very much. I'll try to streamline my answer to the Stefan Banach Scholarship Program 2023, which is also known as the NAWA Scholarship Program. So this program is the call for application always comes out every year. And this year it came out, the launched or the call for proposal of application was open February 28th, and it will close by March 31st, 3 p.m. Central Eastern Time, Central European Time, the same thing as Nigerian time, for instance. So it's very important to take note of this timeline because it's very crucial. If you submit your application a minute past 3 p.m. Central Eastern Time, then it won't be reviewed. It's as good as not having submitted an application. So I think it's quite straightforward, and it's just rational that you don't wait till the end or till the 11th hour before you submit your application. The best applications are the ones that are well prepared for and submitted earlier than the deadline. So if you ask me, my recommendation would be that you submit your application at least 5 days before the deadline, if not a week. At least 5 days before the deadline, if not a week. But there is no crime in submitting a day before, so long as it's still within the timeline. But there's no perfect answer to that question because some people might still have challenges accessing some of their documents and every other thing, or maybe they're waiting for their referees to send their recommendation letter and all of those things. But what is most important is that so long as you complete all of your applications before 3 p.m. Central Eastern Time, March 31st, 2023, then your application will be reviewed.
Thank you. So one more question, please. Does one apply to the university separately? Then you go to apply for the scholarship. Let me give an instance now. You know about this Commonwealth scholarship, right? I saw something about Commonwealth in your LinkedIn profile. Now you have to apply to the university, then you go ahead and apply to the Commonwealth scholarship. So that's what I'm asking. So do you apply to the university, that's the Polish university, like in your own case now, the University of Krakow, before you now go and apply for the scholarship? Or is it that once you submit an application for this scholarship, you automatically apply for the university? How does the admission process go?
I get the question. So this is quite similar to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship because I applied for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship as well. So for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, for instance, you apply simultaneously. As you're applying for the scholarship, you're also applying to the schools. So it is interlinked. So in this case, when you successfully create your profile and you want to start the application. So once you're done inputting your personal details, when you move on to the next part, which is school information, there is a part where, plant studies in Poland. So you will see the list of schools that these people are in partner with. If you're applying for a school that is not under this program, because it's a program, then you are not going to be getting a scholarship. So you want to look at the schools that these people are in partner with. I mean, Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange. So you want to look at the schools that are in partner with, and then once you see the list of the schools, you want to write out the ones that you're interested in, based on your current field of study. Then you go to each individual school of interest, check their websites. You look out for the application, whether they started receiving applications for the new semester, winter semester or summer semester, 2023, 2024. Some schools have started, some haven't started. To the best of my knowledge, I think most of the schools have not started. But trust me, that would not delay your application. Your NAWA application is independent of your school's application. So you don't necessarily need to have applied to a school before you can apply for the NAWA scholarship. But what is important is whilst you're applying for the NAWA scholarship, because at the end of the day, the school you impute as your preferred school is what you would eventually get at the end of the day. So it's very important for you to carry out the school research as well. So when you've successfully created your profile, attempted to fill the first part of the form, then look at the schools that you're in partner with, write out, maybe your top 5 schools that you like to apply to, go to the individual school website, look through the information on their webpage, take note of when they would start their application. Trust me, they should start very soon if they've not started already. Some might have started. So for those that have started, you might want to add them to your short list. So far, they do programs that relate or that aligns to what you are doing. So I think the summary of all of this is that you apply to the schools independently and you apply to the NAWA scholarship independently. So it's not a prerequisite that you already apply to a school before you can apply for the NAWA scholarship. Remember, the NAWA scholarship timeline is just 30 days, like a month, and we're already in like middle of this month. So you've got barely 2 weeks to complete your application. So, but it's important that you check out the schools that you partner with, identify your top 5 schools or your top 3 schools, know the schools you want to apply to. That by the time you're filling this application, you know which school and which program to add, to fill. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. So what happens when after getting the scholarship, your school did not give you admission? What will you not do?
Okay, yeah. So I think relatively it's easy to get admission in the schools. It's easier to get admission in the schools than to get the scholarship. I think that is a given. So but in the case where okay, so yeah, this is it. You can apply to as many schools as you like. You can apply to as many schools as you like, so long they are under the NAWA scholarship. At the end of the day, you might get admissions from 2, 3, 4, 5 universities. So you now have the liberty to choose which school you would like to go to at the end of the day. So when you eventually choose the school you would like to go to, of course, when you're applying to these schools, there is always a section where they would ask you, are you self-funding yourself, or are you trying to apply? Are you expecting to be funded by, NAWA scholarship? And, there is that part in the application. So because you've applied for NAWA, by the time you are filling the form in the school application, you would include it at that particular stage that you are a potential NAWA scholarship beneficiary, or you already applied for NAWA scholarship and you're expecting a decision. So that is very important. So at the end of the day, the schools, if they offer you admission, so long as the schools are a partner with NAWA, so when you get the admissions, at the end of the day, when you get the NAWA scholarship, you can then choose which school you would like to go to, and then you would communicate or you send the feedback to NAWA, and that's all. So there are no issues at all.
Thank you. And you don't, as in you finished with University of Krakow, and now you are in Mende University. So it's like they run their program like the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, where you can literally do just a master's degree from like 4, 3, 2 universities. Or how is it done?
Okay, a very short answer to that. So there are different programs, and these programs are unique, in their way, in the way they have been executed. So in my case, I'm currently enrolled in International Masters in Horticultural Science. And the nature of my program has been structured such that, I do my different semesters in different, universities, which they partnered with. So there is the home university, and then there is the other university. I've forgotten the name now. So yeah, my home university is Poland, is University of Agriculture in Krakow. So yeah, I'll be coming back to Krakow for my thesis. So yeah, like I said, there are different, the programs are unique. So for some programs, you only do everything in a single university. So again, it depends on the program. So my program seems to look like Erasmus program, but it is not Erasmus program. So yeah, I think that's the answer.
Okay, for those that like traveling, you like moving around, you know what to do. Just apply for something that will make you move from one university to the other. Just another quick question again. PhD, is scholarship just for masters? Are there like an available option also for PhD applicants? Secondly, if there is none, are there like a very easy way of navigating towards a PhD degree once you are done with a master's?
Okay, so quick answer to that. The scholarship NAWA, Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange, is only sponsoring second cycle degrees, and that is masters in the partner universities. So they are not sponsoring anything outside of the master's program. So when you eventually win the scholarship and you're enrolled in any of these universities for your master's program or your second cycle studies, then if you plan on furthering your studies for a PhD, that is now left for you to decide. So you begin to make the moves yourself, you begin to make preparations yourself. But then this is not covered. This is not that the jurisdiction of NAWA. NAWA is not going to be sponsoring that.
Okay, thank you very much. So I guess now we're moving to the post-application stage. Hey, don't forget to click the subscription button so as to get more updates and more videos like this one. So Ibrahim, post-application, this is like the cool-off stage. Let's talk about the stipend. Is it like an undisclosure to this, like an undisclosure agreement that should not review the stipend? If there isn't, is the stipend, is it like in consonance with the expenses?
Trust me, all of this information has been clearly stated on the website. So the scholarship, they already said, okay, for those that will be enrolled in a Polish course, a preparatory course, Polish course, they will be paying them 1,700, for the period. But
okay, thank you. Okay, I think I want to call you for an interview.
Okay, so I haven't been a beneficiary last year, so this is how it goes. This is how it works. The scholarship would pay you okay, so they would pay 2,000 Poland zloty. We call it Poland zloty. They pay 2,000 Poland zloty for your first month. I mean, in your first semester, they'll pay you 2,000 Poland zloty. But there's been an update. So I don't know if you've seen it. So for some select countries, that price or that fee has been increased. So it's now 3,000. So for Nigerians, for those coming from Nigeria, for the Nigerian beneficiaries, it was 2,000 as of last year. But for this year, it's going to be 3,000 for 3,000 Poland zloty for the first month of the scholarship. For the first month, and then subsequent months, it's going to be 1,500 Poland zloty. I mean, that's like the stipend that they give. So I think that's it. So this stipend will be given on a monthly basis throughout the course of your program. So yeah.
So I just asked a question about the interview. Is it like an interview that you have to go through after probably you scale through the application process? They'll send you a message, oh, we want to have an interview with you to get to know you better. If there is one, then what are your tips for also like ace the interview? What are the possible questions to expect?
Okay, for this particular scholarship, once you're done applying, once you successfully applied and you've submitted your application, like I said, the first feedback you get would be on whether you successfully passed the formal assessment or not. So if you've successfully passed the formal assessment, then you move on to the next stage. You're not in control of all of this process. Once you've submitted the application, that's all from your hand. So, but once you successfully pass the formal assessment stage, you'll be notified. You can continually check your dashboard. You'll be notified that yes, you successfully passed your formal assessment stage, and now you've been like you're now substantive agreement assessment is currently ongoing or under review. So by the end of July, when substantive assessment must have been completed, that is when you now know whether or not you won the scholarship. So when you get a positive substantive assessment, that means you've won the scholarship. And when you get a negative substantive assessment, that means you didn't win the scholarship. So it's straightforward. After this final decision, there is no other thing you can do. So once you see positive substantive assessment, once you see a positive feedback on your substantive assessment, then that means you've won the scholarship, and that's all. There's no interview.
Wow. Thank you. That's a lot. Thank you. Like that's a lot of information from your end, but looking at the scholarship, it seems very quite less choking. So thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. Compared to the others, it is. So how's the language,
So
the culture of
we
the Polish people like?
encourage everyone to make sure they apply and share this opportunity with their friends in schools to apply for it. And most importantly, they should make sure they put in their best foot forward in applying for this scholarship. And also, I think it's very important that I mentioned this here, that the scholarship, although a lot of people apply for this scholarship, but then there are slots per country. So the countries eligible to apply for this scholarship have slots. I mean, by slots, I mean number of applicants they'll be accepting from the countries. So that makes it even more competitive. So for instance, a country might have just 20 slots or 30 slots. So yeah, so they are looking out for the best 20 in that country or best stats in that country. So that's why I keep emphasizing on, submitting the best possible application you can ever think of.
What was the slot for Nigeria last year when you submitted the application?
20.
Wow. Congratulations again. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Ibrahim. You've given us more than we asked for. Thank you very much. Yes, we encourage everyone, go out there and submit your application.
I have a final word for everyone that's, for every prospective applicant. And my final word would be that you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. So this is an opportunity for you. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
You read from me. Thank you, Ibrahim. That's very thoughtful of you. Thank you. So we hope to start getting your comments, your positive response, like, oh, I've got selected and stuff like that. We want to share with you and to celebrate with you. We hope to get such news later. For Ibrahim, thanks and see you
Thank
later.
you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Do have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye.